You're listening to the Platform Launchers podcast. I'm John Stange, and we're here to build, grow, and monetize your online platform. It's great to have you with us this week. As always, whether you're joining us via the podcast or whether you're watching us on YouTube, or if you're in our members club and you're checking out the video vault and we're talking to you there, wherever you are, we're grateful that you're here with us. And it's so fun to be able to take this time each week to just talk about how we could build, grow, and monetize our online platforms. And in just a moment, we're going to be talking about the concepts of time, location, and financial freedom, and which of those three matters most to you. I imagine that all three probably appeal to all of us on one level or another, but there might be a hierarchy that you put those in, and I'm going to share my hierarchy in just a moment. But before we get into that content, I just want to let you know we have a couple members of our members club that have some really cool things going on this week, and I wanted to highlight them. And so, first up, we've got David Steen in Hartford, Arkansas. David, tell us what's going on in your world this week.
Hey, John, be happy to. I just wanted to give a plug for my new book. We got that launched, been working on it for a long time. It's called Almost Home, Setting Our Sights Toward Heaven. And this is a personal journey, a memoir, a nonfiction, faith-based book about mine and my wife's journey over the last couple of decades and growing a large step family and of 9 children and moving out to a farm and so happy to get that out to the world. It's available everywhere books are sold and or at my website, almosthomebooks.com.
I love that. All right. Almosthomebooks.com. Check it out. And this is book launch week as I'm talking to you right now. Today is officially the book launch day. And so congratulations to David Steen and his new book, Almost Home. Definitely check it out. And I also want to give a shout out here to Phil Whitebloom in the great state of Maryland. Phil, tell us what you've got going on in your world this week.
Thank you, John. I'm very excited to announce that our podcast has launched this week and will be released every Monday moving forward. It's called Been There, Sold That, and it's available on all the podcast platforms from Apple to Amazon, Spotify, and a few others. And it's all about business and providing takeaways from different topics, from growing your business to how to solve problems, how to handle common situations, and some not so common ones. And it's a lot of fun and very informative. So I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity on behalf of myself and Brianna Headley, who's my partner in crime here. So you can find it on any of the platforms. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Been There, Sold That podcast. Definitely check it out. As of a few minutes ago, I was able to subscribe to it. So I think for the moment, I'm your most recent subscriber, unless somebody else has jumped on immediately afterward. But, I see Ryan Johnson is saying, he may be your most recent subscriber. But check it out. So again, David Steen's got his book, Almost Home, and Phil Whitebloom and Brianna Henley have their new podcast, Been There, Sold That. Excellent members of our members club. We're so grateful to have them and so grateful for the cool things that they're doing. And this week here, kind of getting back to the subject that we started with, we're talking about this idea of time, location, and financial freedom. And I'll say this, I guess, right here at the outset, because I want to outline a little bit of the journey that I've been on related to these things. But when they decide to become an online entrepreneur, or when someone decides to develop a message-based online platform, which typically we hear people that do that referred to as influencers, that's the term that typically gets used, they usually have a series of things that compel them to do this. Most often, they're motivated to achieve something specific, or maybe to make their life drastically different from how it was in the past. Typically, both of those things are at play. Now, when I began my journey into the world of online entrepreneurship, I often thought that the experience was a little bit like a puzzle. And what I mean by that is I knew that I wanted to do it, but I wasn't exactly sure how it all worked. This whole world of online entrepreneurship, I thought, how does this work? How do the pieces fit together? How do I get this built up? How do I connect these things? How does it turn into something real? I knew for instance, that I wanted to improve my income, but I wasn't really sure how I was going to do that. I also knew that I had valuable information to share, but I wasn't really sure how best to communicate it. I also knew that I wanted to help serve others and I wanted to help improve the lives of other people, but I wasn't exactly sure at the outset what kind of services I should be offering. And so while I was trying to figure all of this out, I searched for information like any of us would do. And so I started reading books. I started watching videos. I'm so grateful that that content was available. I also started taking courses and paying for those things and listening to podcasts being probably where I was getting most of my education in the online entrepreneurial space. And then I started picking the brains of people that I considered successful, people that were a few years ahead of me, people that had been doing this for a little while. And so I sometimes pay for coaching or just try and get on their radar or invite them on my podcast and talk to them about different things. And in the process of doing that, looking at all these different sources from books to videos to courses to podcasts to conversations, in the process of searching all of this out, a pattern emerged. And I noticed that many online entrepreneurs that I was interacting with, they're actually searching for the same things. In general, they wanted to serve others in specific ways, and then in return, they hoped to gain time, location, and financial freedom. And I will admit to you, that certainly sounded good to me. I don't think there's anything bad about any one of those things, right? Having more control over my time, that was definitely appealing. I just thought, boy, that'd be wonderful. Enjoying location freedom that would allow me to visit new places with my family and maybe work from wherever I wanted to work. That also seemed rather pleasant to me. And then improving my financial picture and developing multiple streams of active and passive income, that definitely mattered to me as well. And if I could develop all three of those aspects of time freedom and location freedom and financial freedom, that seemed even better, but I knew it wasn't going to be immediate. And I also knew that I needed to put in the time and I needed to put in the effort and I needed to be very, very consistent if this was going to happen. By the way, sometimes I think I use the word consistent more than any other word when I'm describing the journey of an online entrepreneur, because I've discovered it's the people that are consistent day in and day out that win the race. It's not, if you're just intermittent, it doesn't work for you. You've got to be consistent. So I knew in my case, I needed to be consistent if I was going to make this happen. And so over time, I did that. And I learned something about myself in the process of building what I built online. I've actually built several platforms now. And again, I've learned something about myself in the process. And while I can appreciate the merits of greater flexibility with my time and greater flexibility with my location and greater flexibility with my finances, I definitely rank their importance in my mind. I have them ranked in a particular way. And I also suspect that this rank may change over time, but I'm going to give you a picture of where the rank is at right now. And, we'll see if it changes as life goes on. So let's start off with location freedom. Location freedom, I think, is very nice. But I'll admit to you that I'm not as into travel as some of my friends happen to be. I do enjoy location flexibility, but I don't really mind being tied to a location, which might sound strange because if you listen to a lot of entrepreneurs, most of them talk about just traveling all different places and that's great, but I don't actually mind being tied to a location. My family enjoys where we live. I enjoy where we live. In our community, I'm able to serve our local church. I'm able to teach at a local university. I'm able to develop some deeper level friendships with neighbors and coworkers and other friends. So if I'm honest with you, and I always try and be honest with you, so I don't know why we say that as a phrase, but if I'm being really, really honest, location freedom isn't currently my top priority. Now, maybe that'll change, but as of yet, location freedom is not my top priority. I do like it. I think in my life, it's more location flexibility than location complete freedom because I purposely have myself locked into a few things that keep me location bound. And I'm actually okay with that. So, all right. So that's kind of where I am with location freedom. But what about time freedom? Well, I think time freedom's nice. But at the season of life that I'm in right now, and the ways that I've chosen to serve others, that doesn't give me complete autonomy over my schedule. And again, it's by choice. No one is forcing me to do this, but this is actually by choice. What ends up happening is the needs of my family, that starts by making some demands on my time. And since two of my four children still live at home, that's factoring into some of the time freedom or time flexibility that I have. But then I also have my roles in ministry leadership, and that makes demands on my time. I also have the classes that I teach each week as a professor. That makes demands on my time. And to be honest with you, I'm okay with it. And to be honest with you in this regard as well, just as I'm honest about location freedom, I don't actually want too much idle time in my schedule, because what I've noticed is when there's too much of a vacancy in my schedule, when there's too much of an open block, I find myself basically just starting to think about creative ways to make better use of that time, because I seem to get bored very easily. And I don't want to waste the brief time that I've been blessed with on this planet. And so I think to myself, if there's a vacancy, I do tend to fill it, which means that I probably don't value time freedom as much as I value something else. So if I had to rank time, location, and financial freedom from highest to lowest of importance to me right now, even though I appreciate all three, and even in the areas that I would say that I don't tend to use the word freedom, I tend to use the word flexibility related to my own life, I still appreciate these things. But I would have to say that financial freedom presently remains higher on my list than the other two. Now, there's nothing right or wrong about which one is higher on your list or which one's higher on my list. I'm just being transparent with you about where my mind is at related to these three. And I want to describe what I mean when I'm talking about financial freedom, because I actually think it's possible that I may define that a little bit differently. I know that I definitely define it differently from some other people that I've heard speak about it. So I'll give you a picture of what I mean by that. So financial freedom for me, it actually starts with generosity. My primary financial goal isn't consumption. So when the Lord blesses me financially, the very first thing I do with his financial blessings is I return a portion of that to him by giving toward the ministries that I care about, and I use some of it toward meeting the needs of others that have either caught my attention or the attention of my wife. And we decide, all right, where do we want to direct our generosity? Who should we be blessing with this? How should we be helping? That's the first thing that we want to do with the finances that are entrusted to us. Now, from there, financial freedom also to us means living a debt-free lifestyle. Not everybody feels that this is an important facet of financial freedom, but for us, this is very, very important. Now, full transparency, I used to carry all the common forms of debt that prevail in our culture, but I actually grew very tired of living that way. It felt very stressful to me. I became very convinced that it was just a drag on my quality of life. And I didn't like the feeling of knowing that I owed something to someone else. I also wasn't very crazy about paying interest on those obligations. And so I decided to switch things up. I decided it was time for us to get rid of any debt that we had on this earth. And it actually took years for our family to pay off our consumer debts. It took years for our family to pay off our mortgage. But now that we are 100% debt free, I don't ever want to go back. That is a big part of financial freedom as far as how I define it. Financial freedom also, to me, now, it means multiple streams of active and passive income. So active income, if you're not familiar with those terms, active income is money that, for instance, I'd get paid one time for work that I've done or a service that I've provided. So that's what active income is. You work or provide a service and you get paid one time for that. Passive income is a recurring form of income that I earn for content I create or investments that I'm making. And passive income is kind of unique because it allows me to do something one time and then get paid for that effort potentially for the rest of my life. So I think about The passive income I earn from book royalties. You know, you write a book, it takes a lot of time to write a book, but if the book continues to sell, you can earn an income from that for the rest of your life. I also earn income passively from courses that I've recorded. You know, you spend a lot of time preparing a course, recording it, editing it, and putting it out there. But once it's out there, as long as it stays relevant, that could be a long-term source of income. I also earn passive income from crowdfunding sources. I earn passive income from advertising and things like that. So I like to have multiple streams of income, some of them active, some of them passive. But financial freedom means more than just that to me. Financial freedom also means less anxiety about future retirement or repairs to our home or repairs to our cars, because what we're doing is we're actively preparing for those rainy days. And when those days come, and they come for all of us, those days have started to feel more like an inconvenience than a crisis. Whereas in an earlier season of my life, they felt like a crisis. One other thing I'll say, financial freedom to me also means that I get to say yes to doing things that most people would only do if they were getting paid. So what I mean by that is that, you know, there are volunteer opportunities that I've committed myself to. There are classes that I've taught. There are services that I've provided just for the joy of being able to be a blessing to others because my financial house is in order. Earlier in life, I wasn't able to do some of those things because my financial house wasn't in order. But this is one of my favorite things to do, this idea of saying yes to doing things that most people would only do if they were getting paid. Well, I love being able to say yes to things that I don't need to be paid to do. I get to do these things in order to be a blessing to others, even if I'm not paid for them. So I often think about what that might look like a couple decades from now when I'm in my traditional retirement years and how I might use that season of life. I picture myself using that season maybe to do stuff like volunteering with various camping ministries. I love camping ministries, and I've often thought, what would I do if during that season of life if I had the option? And I thought, well, I can see myself volunteering for those ministries and maybe helping out with property maintenance and lawn care and housekeeping, dishwashing, things like that without requiring payment. It's one of my favorite things to do, finding ways to serve like that. I think I would find that rather gratifying. So that's what financial freedom looks like to me. So all of that being said, I'll just throw out this question here as we prepare to wrap this up. Why are you building what you're building? Which aspect of freedom and flexibility would serve you best at this season of your life? And how would you rank these three? Time freedom, location freedom, financial freedom, if I asked you to elaborate on your order of importance? I actually think that the order of importance is very likely to change for me during different seasons of life. I mentioned what's important to me now. They're all important to me now, but I have them ranked a certain way now. That'll probably change at different seasons for me. And I'm just curious, how would you rank them? You know, if you're watching this on YouTube, make a comment, leave a comment, and let us know. If you're checking this out via a podcast, send me a message, john@platformlaunchers.com. I'd be curious to know how you rank time, location, and financial freedom in your own life. And one more thing I'll mention before we wrap this up this week. If you're looking to figure out a path that can help you achieve time, location, and financial freedom, I can help you with that. It took me a while to figure some of these things out, but now that I've got them figured out for me, one of my goals is to help as many people as possible figure them out for them. And if you go to platformlaunchers.com and just poke around the site, go through the homepage, go through the university page, the membership page, all around, you're going to find a whole variety of things. Listen to the podcast, check out the blogs, lots and lots of content, tons of it for free. At this point, you'll find more resources than you know what to do with at platformlaunchers.com. But what I'd encourage you to do, if you're trying to figure out how this could all work for you, look at these resources, use them, share them, and then take the risk to begin building a message-based online platform that helps you achieve your freedom and flexibility goals. Time freedom, location freedom, financial freedom. A lot of people in this world don't think about these things, but those of us in the online entrepreneurial space, we think about this stuff a lot. And if you're listening to this show today, I imagine that this is the type of stuff that you've been thinking about as well. And again, go to platformlaunchers.com. We'll help you figure out a recipe that will make this happen in your life. But as always, I'm grateful for the fact that we get the chance to spend this time together each week. Thank you so much for listening to this show. Again, be sure to also check out David Steen's book, Almost Home. Be sure to check out Phil Whitebloom and Brianna Henley's new podcast, Been There, Sold That. Awesome resources that'll help you in a variety of ways and encourage you in a variety of ways. And in the meantime, I hope you have an awesome week, and we look forward to catching up with you again right here next time. Take care.